Have you heard of Usher Syndrome? It's a rare hidden condition that affects 4 to 17 per 100,000 people.
Because I'm type 1, I'm profoundly deaf, so I was born deaf, which I didn't actually know until I was 14. So I lost my hearing to a completely different thing.
Usher syndrome is a condition that affects some people who are born deaf predominantly, and it's when the eye condition retinitis pigmentosa comes to somebody who's born either profoundly or moderately deaf and they lose their vision over time. Usher syndrome's diagnosed in some different ways. Sometimes it's diagnosed in a very young child when they're going forward for cochlear implants by looking at their retina. But usually Usher 1 and Usher 2 are diagnosed when teenagers or young adults start to struggle to see in certain conditions, like when it's dark or when they're trying to see things round to the sides of them or up and down.
I was diagnosed when I was 14 years old.
There are traditionally 3 different types of Usher syndrome, but as we learn more about it, we know that those 3 types don't always match the genetics, and we're actually learning more about what those 3 types mean.
Type 1 is traditionally when someone who is born profoundly deaf develops an eye condition in their teens or 20s and stops being able to see as well. Type 2 is when somebody who is born moderately deaf starts to develop visual issues in their 20s. Type 3 is when somebody who may have had a mild hearing impairment or not known they had a hearing impairment when they were younger develops both hearing and visual problems, maybe in their 30s or 40s.
People's vision with retinitis pigmentosa can deteriorate at very different speeds. So some people might lose a lot of vision very quickly and actually need to do things very differently from the time they're 20. But other people will lose their vision much more gradually as their eye condition develops over time, and they might have a lot of useful vision into their 40s or 50s or even beyond that and never lose their vision altogether. So as people's vision gets worse, what happens first of all is that they aren't able to see so well in the dim conditions and in the dark. Obviously none of us can see in the dark, but we can usually see when it's quite dim, when the lights aren't very good. People with Usher syndrome really struggle with that.
I started losing my vision in the dark around 9, I think. Yeah, 9, because I kept holding on to everyone, like my nan, my mum, everyone.
Chloe always had a bit of a problem with her balance, and she always used to like to hold on to you at night. So perhaps that was showing us that there was a slight problem in the dark.
They gradually, their vision deteriorates from the sides so that they can't see so far round about them to the left, the right and up and down. And that changes so that the tunnel of vision that they can see becomes much smaller and smaller until they can only see things perhaps right in front of them and quite close.
I haven't lost my eyesight because I still can see. So but I do miss quite a few bits. So I'm always falling over. Literally, I'm like the most clumsiest person you ever meet because I've got severe balance problems, which is to do with Usher syndrome.
There isn't at the moment a cure for retinitis pigmentosa and therefore for Usher syndrome. People are working on this, and there's a lot of research going on into Usher syndrome.